Okay, this video is for 1.5g, the midpoint formula. We'll talk about finding the midpoint between 2 points. Let's start with example 4. So the general midpoint formula is this: x1 plus x2 divided by 2, comma, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Now, take a look at this. This isn't going to be a single number, this is going to be a point. The x1 plus x2 divided by 2 will give you the x value of the midpoint, and y1 plus y2 divided by 2 will give you the y value of the midpoint, and we'll end up with a new coordinate point that is directly in the middle of the 2 points we used. So let's apply that to example 4. We'll say that A is point 1, so A has the coordinates x1, y1, and we'll say that B is point 2, so B has the coordinates x2, y2. Now, using the formula, we have x1 plus x2, that's negative 2 plus 4, then divided by 2. That's for our x value of our midpoint. For our y value of our midpoint, it's y1 plus y2, which is 4 plus 0, divided by 2. And now let's simplify. Negative 2 plus 4 is positive 2. We still have to divide it by 2. 4 plus 0 is 4. And we also have to divide that by 2. Last step. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So the new coordinates of our midpoint is 1, 2. Now let's flip to the back side. Do a different example here. Example 11 says, find the coordinates of the other endpoint of the segment with the given endpoint and midpoint. Then graph all 3 points. So T is one of our endpoints. It tells us that M is the midpoint of our segment, and it wants us to find the second endpoint. So what we want to do is this. Take a look at what we had to do to get from one x value to the other. To get from 6 to 2, we subtracted 4. Now let's take a look at what we had to do to get from one y value to the other. To get from 2 to 0, we subtracted 2. Now we want to do those same things to our midpoint to end up with our other endpoint. So we want to go from our midpoint and subtract 4 again. That will give us 2 minus 4, which is negative 2. And then we want to go from our midpoint and subtract 2 again, which will also give us negative 2. So our final answer is negative 2, 2 for our other endpoint. If we graph it, we can confirm that that is the other endpoint. So T is one endpoint. That is at 6, 2, which is right here. M is our midpoint, that's at 2, 0, which is right there. And then what we say is the new endpoint, or the other endpoint, is at negative 2, which is right there. If we connect the dots, zoom in a little bit, it looks like our M, which is our midpoint, is right in the middle of those 2 dots. Hopefully this has been helpful. This is 1.5g, the midpoint formula.